Okay. This is Shantelle. I am the founder and executive director of Believe in What You Dream. I know that you all have been seeing some very exciting posts, so I wanted to come on live. And number one, just thank you all for your continued support. And I wanted to give you some insight on the things that have been kind of behind the scenes, working itself out, and outside of the update. So let's start off by getting into this merch. So, yeah, as you can see, my shirt says, I am dope, determined, optimistic, passionate, energized, ready to make my dreams a reality, and there is nothing you can do about it. This is our dope mantra that is used all throughout our programming, which we're going to get into. But just to get started, want to tell you about Believe in What You Dream, nonprofit I started a decade ago. I've been working actively. Many of you have supported this journey along the way. I have been building it. I have taken it internationally and been integrated in schools here as of late, especially since the pandemic. We just weren't able to travel like normal. So had to pivot a lot, and great pivot turned out to be an extreme blessing. And from that, going to give you some updates today. So, starting off, Believe in What You Dream is nonprofit, is registered here in Solano County. It started out as a journey of really being able to help people discover their superpowers. And when I say superpowers, that's becoming more self aware, being able to better process your feelings, emotions, and your past, and also move forward in a way where you can build relationships. Our premier program is the Dream Weaver Academy, that is designed to help kids and youth of today better process their feelings, manage their emotions, and build stronger relationships by utilizing social emotional learning tools, trainings, and techniques that really lead to be the driver that really puts them in the position to do just as that. So, the Dreamweaver Academy is currently in Vallejo Unified School District. Yay! A round of applause goes there because it has been a lot of work being able to just organize the program and get it in a way where it's understood what we're doing. And being that as the case, I wanted to make sure again to come back and discuss it. So when I say social emotional learning, if any of you are educators and you're watching this, the CASEL program won't be a shock for you, right? CASEL has been around for 30 years and has been integrated in pretty much every school around this nation. So when I started this work, I started out as a scientist at National Institute of Health, where I was more or less designing curriculums centered around behavioral science and investigative research. And it was during that time that I realized, while working with adults, I had a DoD contract, so was working with soldiers who had PTSD, and we were working in clinical trials trying to understand how some of the treatment practices were going to affect their ability to process their feelings, manage their emotions, and build relationships. Right, is the best way I can categorize it. It was then that I discovered something that was supernatural power, and it's really us just being able to be humans and have our engagement with each other, and really centered around the ability to talk. And this came in a form where it was super exciting for myself just because I love rolling yarn balls and I crochet and I take it everywhere I go. And it was in this space that I was rolling yarn balls. And after we got over the whole conversation of me being so young and me being almost like a grandma here in a clinical trial, rolling yarn balls and crochet, that that is what sparked the very authentic conversations between myself and the soldiers that I was working with during the time, where it took them back to a time where life was a lot more easier and fun and really, really great memories. And it was in that space that the level of trust was built, and they began to start going back far beyond maybe the trauma points, and were able to walk themselves back to the events or the inciting events that happened and put them in a position where they were able to convey that to their therapists, who praised me during the time. They were like, "What's going on in these clinical trials?" And I was like, "Hey, guess what, guys? We're just talking." Oh, and rolling yarn balls. So from that, this was 2 decades ago, where I began to start building curriculum for kids. We had a lot of summer programs that were running in the science institution that I worked at, and I just made a revelation when I got the job that I made up all of the 2% of Black employees and maybe the 5% of minorities, whether it be on the side of ethnicity or even just being a woman in the science space. And I wanted to push a narrative more of just opening the minds of young people, of letting them know that science is an option for them. And what better way to get them into the lab outside of doing really great, experiments and getting them in, the facility themselves so they can feel what it felt like. So, with that being said, I started creating these curriculums that would better help kids who would futurely become adults that we are dealing with in the clinical trials or the science space. Better give them tools that allow them to process their feelings, manage their emotions, and build strong relationships. So now, fast forward to here we are 2 decades later, where we've gone through a pandemic. We're looking at the data of how lost learner mitigations is where it is. Our school systems haven't changed in over 30 years. And when the systems were designed, it didn't have technology in mind. And so now our thinking processors are now becoming our brains. And kids, especially those who are born into the technology realm, are utilizing a lot more technology and skipping over the fundamental steps of becoming really great critical thinkers, understanding how to process the emotions of things that they're going through, and find the words that can help explain maybe the things that they're going through, so they can better identify the people who are best positioned to help them. And so, why I brought up the CASEL program is that it is a great framework for social emotional learning. The challenge that it has is that it is not really set up to be culturally responsive for the groups and provide an execution methodology that's required for those who are facilitating the frameworks to get it done. So therefore, it means it puts more work on the teachers to get it right. The schools are relying heavily too much on teachers to, both teach, provide this social emotional learning without this governance that happens, and it just doesn't work. And so I had the idea of bringing what I know about behavioral science to the space to better help create a execution methodology to make it so it's more of an informed process that's more hands-on, and it has an ability to customize itself based on the environment. So the guiding principles for the Dreamweaver Academy are built around the dreams you make, journaling your journey, and mastering the power of the stitch, because that brings the crochet back, right? So it's the dreams you make, because the methodology is the fact that your thoughts, as long as you're willing to connect them to an action, are able to become reality. And so when we talk about dreams, everyone would tell you to go follow your dreams. Well, we're telling you in this execution methodology that you must believe in them first. And within believing them, you must be able to create a plan on how you're going to execute, along with the different stages that goes along with it, which we call the F5 framework, that gets you all the way down to how do you debrief and repeat, right? So that methodology that we're working with is the think and link methodology. The guiding principles, again, are the dreams you make, journaling your journey, and mastering the power of the stitch. So it's the dreams you make. So how do you make your dreams a reality in real life? And then what's the journey that got you there? And so it's the journaling process that many of you, I don't have to explain journaling, but I think that the critical step that's normally missed is the ability to go back over the journey and, really look at, okay, where were the areas where I was winning? Where are the areas where there needs more work? And how do I then stitch it all together to make my tapestry of life that's meaningful to me. So that's the guiding principles. The core competencies are what's in the mantra, which is determined, optimistic, passionate, energized. And going through and having a good definition of each of those will begin to start identifying character traits in all of the kids that we work with in the programs. And then lastly, really our implementation happens with the F5, which starts off with defining your dreams, or therefore understanding your dreams, your thoughts are and can be your reality. Designing the world it lives in. So understanding, okay, what are the steps that are required to take these dreams and make them into a reality? All right. Then the next one is being able to deliberate on the type of core values that are required to really get you there. Understanding then, how are you going to decide what to execute on and what's a part of your plan? And then also, who are the people who are required to be there? And then lastly, the F5 of it all is really divining the world. So, what are the divine steps that are going to get you to where you want to go? And then also, how do you want other people to define them? And so we go through this process of understanding perception and observations, and understanding that those things aren't critical to becoming your reality unless you define that to be the space. So now we're putting in kids back in the seat of understanding, like, don't just create a prognosis of who you think I am. Let me give you some guidelines of who I am and how I'm going to show up. So with that being said, the current program, when the kids come into the Dreamweaver Academy, I'm going to show you the one that we're working with right now. While the Dreamweaver Academy is for all kids, right now I have two programs that are running for girls. And so when they get their Dream Girl kids, because that's the side, so we have Dream Girls and Dope Boys. Dope because, again, that's a part of our mantra, being dope. So when they come into the actual class and they're admitting into the academy, we have steps of from immediately setting boundaries. Number one boundary is that this is not an option. Once you're in, everyone commits. We commit as a group. Instructors commit, the girls commit as a group, and we're committing to the end. All right, so one group is meeting every Wednesday until the end of the school year. Right, so as we're going through the F5 framework each day, which starts off with really the journey of rolling a yarn ball. Right, but when they come in, every girl is getting their own polo that has our academy patch on there to let them know that they are officially in. So this is a part of like our uniform. And so let me just show you the shirt itself, because it's important really that we identify ourselves of who we are, right? So for those of you who are going online and supporting Believe in What You Dream, and you want to actually go in and get a Dream Girl kit to support a girl, this is what they're getting. They get the shirt, and then of course on the back it says Believe in What You Dream with the light bulb. And the light bulb, it has 4 components because we have 4 core competencies. And when you look at the track jacket, it has it there too, because it's just the icon that represents the process of identifying your superpowers. Your superpowers are really getting yourself to a point where you understand the core competencies and put them all together and electrify your life. All right, so they get the shirt. Also, depending on what group, this group, they all received bags, actually. So these bags are, you know, little drawstring bags that are actually manufactured with a company called Africa Ran, which is based in Ghana. And so we get all of our, anything that we do, I try to get everything done on continent if I can, just because it's a nice loop to be able to support, you know, small enterprise businesses that are on ground and give back to the community in that way. So everyone gets a bag. So that's one thing they get. Everyone will get yarn, because of course we always start every day by rolling yarn balls. Yarn balls represent so much. It's a great alignment when it comes to life. While you're rolling the yarn ball, it kind of represents, this space of like things can be chaotic because yarn tangles all the time. And so being able to begin to start rolling the yarn ball, once you get kind of into the process of understanding the rhythm, it's easy to drop the yarn ball. Just like in life, if you're not paying attention, it's like you can drop the ball on things that you're not paying attention to, but it doesn't matter because you can pick it back up and find your rhythm again. And then ultimately, if you sit back and you pay attention to what you're doing, you ultimately are able to convert everything into a ball. And so that can roll around and move around in life, like in the way that you want to. So they get yarn, they get a hook because at some point we begin to start the basic crochet lesson, a pair of scissors, and one other thing is the girls in this program are getting the Journal of a Dream Girl. So this is the book that they get, and it's based on our guiding principles, the core competencies with the F5 integrated into everything we do. So when they get the book, they're supposed to put their name here along with on the box, because now this is committing them again. All right, you're signing your name to saying that you're committed to be on this journey to find yourself in your superpowers and be a dream girl in the end. All right, so inside there's the mantra that I believe there's a lot of videos that you get to like hear about and see, but this mantra is important because it's ingraining the core competencies into their journey of understanding their dope. And so again, being determined, optimistic, passionate, and energized is all about what that means. And so we typically start off with all about you. So this is an interesting point every time we start a group, because this is the opportunity where we can see the different character personalities, right? Where, write something about yourself should be really the easiest thing because you know yourself best. But it's a struggle in the beginning because there's this concept of like, I don't want to, who's going to read this? I don't want to put the wrong thing and be judged by my peers. All the different thoughts that go across the mind. I mean, I know you guys can understand that part. But it's something I really push because number one, I want them to see that it doesn't matter what part of walk of life you are on. Like your favorite color could be the same favorite color as someone else, but your meaning for your favorite color could be a total different reason. It can bring back some kind of memory. Understanding where while the kids may go to school together and they've been at a certain school, I found that over this process, at this point, we've worked with a little bit over 8,000 kids. So have a lot of different stories that are just, in my mind, just that have left in, like my mental Rolodex of just thoughts of things that has gone into designing this program. And there are some things that happen where, kids, they may have been out of school for 6 years. They may have been, there for like 2 or 3, and they still don't know how to, spell the name of the school. And that's also an indication sometimes what kind of level of variance of, work we're looking at. And I try to pay attention to whatever state we may be in and understand the California Department of Education data that goes out and stay on top of it, just because it's a great indication of what the profile of the students will be depending on where I go, what school district, and again, being able to customize based on the environment. And it's important because we know we can get them on track if we can help them make them more self-aware and bring to their attention the things that may be inefficiencies that we can just address in these small groups. And so looking at that kind of data again is important. I want to point this out for many of you who may be watching this video that there's a data point of, let's say, how many black girls or black students are in California, where there are 300,000. And based on the data, less than 15% of them are reading at grade level. haven't at math level and the comprehension level, and therefore aren't really at a positive ranking of moving towards college. Of course, we have, those who have suppressed the system and have moved, but that makes up 45,000 of that 300,000. So there's a lot of work to do. And it's important to, find it in small group settings where the kids can, kind of bond together and really support each other in a way where they understand we're in this together, as opposed to, what is kind of happening now where the system is just pushing kids forward and not addressing some of the, isolated challenges that may be there. So anyway, back to going through this book. The next thing is there's a video I just recently posted about these hearts. These hearts actually become a very pivotal point of success for the program, because this is probably for the first time for many of the girls that I worked with, finding something that they love about themselves, and beyond the notion of saying, oh, I don't know, I haven't thought about it. Finding something physical, finding a personal attribute that really makes them who they are, is where we kind of come here. And by the time we kind of get towards like the fourth or fifth time doing this, is when they really actually get more comfortable with understanding what they love, because we're meeting every week, so they literally have a week to kind of think about the things that we're going to talk about. And they have the books so they can kind of go in and kind of prepare themselves a little bit too, which is something that's encouraged. Other thing is the personal accountability that I love to talk about all the time. And it's because one of the things that I have found in the journey of being an investigative research scientist is the lack of accountability in decision making on a individual basis. And I believe it's just because it's something that's heavily skipped if it's not something that is a part of like your family core values, of people holding you accountable for the things that are stopping you from doing something. You may ask the questions, but there should be follow-up questions that go along with it on a continual basis and a continuum throughout life. That if it's just like you identified something that's a challenge, something's wrong, something is a problem, what are your solutions that you're going to provide for that? Not only is this a important and critical step in the critical thinking process for personal development, it's also important for professional development, because what is actually happening, what I remind the kids over in the program, is that while you're in this program, not only are you working on yourself as becoming your future leader of who you are, you're working on yourself being in a professional setting and having coworkers that you can get along with and talk to and work things out, where it doesn't have to go so as far as to become something physical and put yourselves in a position where you are missing out on opportunities because you can't get along with people. So we try to fix that right now by putting them back in the seat and understanding like you are the driver, you are the pilot of your life. What are you going to do in these spaces to make sure that you're going to be able to take off in a positive way? And so it gets us to, our journaling the journey. So this program is actually done in 6-week intervals, and it has to be done 3 times. And the 3 times are really designed to really get them the full scope. So while we may start with the first guiding principle, which is the dreams you make, we still go through and do some journaling. We still go through and kind of do some activities that help better, toggle the framework, the activities, and like the core values of it and the things that we want them to see. But being able to do it 3 times gives them a chance to, okay, now let's try something new. Let's look at how we can implement this, in the future, and like how comfortable you feel, and then take action. Okay. And so when journaling, we're looking at now reinforcing the core competencies of understanding, like, okay, you can say the word determined, you may have now a definition, but now how does it apply to your life? And so the question for determined is, what makes you feel determined? And the example here is your future is determined by your willingness to take action. And the things that we're looking at, okay, what are the things that make you feel determined? Bullet point those out, Now, tell us a story about what happened in that moment and how you felt determined in that space, and how would you share it with others. Same thing is for optimistic, same thing is for passionate and energized by the time we get there. And then ultimately, while we're here, we do this for about, really 30 minutes, or we'll flip and do it for an hour, and then we have 30 minutes of activity. Again, each time we're starting with rolling yarn balls, because it's just important to be able to, number one, level set when we're starting, give them an opportunity to process whatever emotions that they may be walking in with, because again, this is social emotional learning. And so it's a long day that happened by the time they get to this after school program. And I don't want them to carry energy that is not focused on what we're there to do. And so we do the yarn ball. In the beginning, it normally takes them an hour with these yarn balls, because it's just, again, maybe the first time they're doing it. And it's a lot of tangles that happen, and they get frustrated. They're beginning to unravel like the ball does. And, but by, I would say, session three is when, things are kind of like moving. And sometimes session two it happens, but it just really depends on their willingness to engage, and focus in on it. And when I say engaged, they're all actively engaged, but it's just engaging on becoming better. Then from there, depending on where we are, again, our next thing that we do is the dream catcher. So that's the next activity there. And again, remember, this is about the dreams you make. And so this is an example of what ends up being made with their dream catcher. This is my design. Their designs are different, different colors, because in each box there is a different color that of yarn that they're getting. And then, so there's a few other activities, and just one more thing that I want to review before I close here, because, you know, I don't want to take all day, but I just wanted to, just share some things with you all. This is a mood tracker. What's cool about the mood tracker is that this is an opportunity for, again, this reflection point, right? And so sometimes it's important that you track your mood on, okay, how did you wake up, and then how did you go to sleep? Right? And so when looking at this, this is a great way over a month's time for them to track, their mood over a given period of time that month, and really understand, okay, how did your mood affect the way that you showed up, and what were the things that you did win in, and what areas where do you need improvement. And so the moods are based on colors. So red represents exciting, pink is happy, courageous is blue, green is calm, cheerful is yellow, creative is purple, confident is orange, brilliant is brown, powerful is black, and inspired is just white, right? And so ultimately what happens is, over the course of 30 days, the job is to commit to coloring in or writing in, the color that represents you. Sometimes the kids will just put the first letter of, or the first two letters of the color, and kind of track it that way. But it's a great reflection point, again, when having the conversation of understanding, okay, what's stopping you from winning? And what were the things that changed your mood, and what things are going to put you in a positive space, what things put you in a negative space, and understanding how to put those things together to understand that you are in control of your world, and the things that are part of your thoughts are the things that are put in play to become reality. And so that is a bit about the Dreamweaver Academy and the work that we're doing with our current programming, and wanted you all to just have a better understanding of those things. Again, I appreciate your support. Just so you know that the goal here is to impact the lives of 100,000. So obviously this is not work that is meant to be done alone or based on one organization. It's meant to be an organization that grows a lot bigger than the, small team that we are now. And being able to go into more school districts, make connections with organizations that are working with young people, and provide the execution methodology that's required to get them on their social emotional learning journey. Meanwhile, provide trainings for adults who are in the space of advocacy, who want to be able to, support in a way where they become dream weavers. And our dream weavers are the ones who come into the Dream Weaver Academy and work with the kids. And again, um, when looking at that, I wanted to make sure that you all understood how big this is and how, much of an opportunity is there, because this is not just something that one program can fix overnight. We're talking about 30 years of lost learner mitigations that must be addressed to really help support our educators because they are overwhelmed. They're in a space where they're really given the task of not only teaching, but they have to manage behaviors. They have to really be disciplinary. And also, there's systems that are in schools that are much more focused on discipline than they are academics because there's not a program in place that could really help aid in that space of putting kids in a space where they can be more accountable for the things that are going on. Also, one of the key factors in this program, even just working, is being able to have the concept of village, of it taking a village and us working as a village to really bring the kids to the point where we can say we can raise them by a village, but it really takes a community effort to really make sure they're on track for success. So, one of the personal touch points that I made a pivotal and critical point for this program is being able to build relationships with parents. Every single girl in my program has gotten a call directly from me. I've talked to both fathers and mothers and just informing them about the program, number one. Number two, letting them know that, this is a commitment for all of us, of really being able to advocate for these girls in a way that really puts them back on track to make really, really great decisions and better decisions in their life and not those that are based on emotions. And again, being able to work directly in a school and be in a school setting also helps out because now it doesn't put parents in a space where they have to hurry up and try to sacrifice more time and energy to try to get home and get their kid to another location. We get to do it right at an after school program with the goal of also doing some in-school workshops and things like that maybe for next year. Not this year, it's not happening. It's just not time for it. um, but having those relationships with parents, my goal is also to begin to start hosting community chats with parents and bring in some other organization and other CBOs who are in the space of doing the type of aligned mission work that really helps kind of address some of the gaps that are just in being able to find success in this program in their own programs, like having what kind of a support group would look like for parents, what does a program look like for um, student advocacy, of being able to have really great relationships with teachers to take some of the load off of them. What does it look like for the attendance, and it goes on and on and on down the line. But the goal, again, at the end of the day, is to really put youth today in the position where they can better process their feelings, manage their emotions, and build stronger relationships that are going to help them not only now, but in the future, make better decisions about their life and get on track to really pursue and achieve the dreams that they believe in. Okay? So, with that being said, I am going to leave you off, um, leave you here in Facebook world. But, should you have any questions, or if you're watching on YouTube or wherever you are, if you have any questions, you can learn more about Believe in What You Dream by visiting www.believeinwhatyoudream.org. Definitely reach out to myself or any folks on the team if you're interested in becoming an instructor, if you're interested in becoming, a CBO partner or collaborator in any way, or if you're just interested in maybe potentially, sponsoring girls, a cluster of girls, or sponsoring a program for maybe summer or anytime, please reach out. We're here. Alrighty. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you all soon. This is Shantelle S.Ladybug Brumfield, founder and executive director of Believe in What You Dream, signing out.